So we brought learning assistants to Texas Tech to improve student outcomes. Essentially, large lecture classes, there's so many people in the room that we can't be sure that the 400th student in that chair is getting the same experience that the person in the front row is getting. Learning assistants are virtually shrinking the classroom so that we can have students interacting with one another in groups of 20 or so. That's working. We're seeing that our grades of D, grades of F, and withdrawal rates are dropping in certain courses that we've been able to measure thus far. That's fantastic, and that was originally the sole reason of bringing learning assistants to Texas Tech. But what we're seeing is that the learning assistants themselves are actually benefiting from being learning assistants. Their confidence is increasing. Their confidence in the material is increasing.
I really enjoy having the LAs in there because, again, I have my students working the problems themselves, and they're not just watching me go through that problem. And so I get my students working the problems, and I also get valuable feedback. It's like those LAs are on the front lines of my classroom. Although I'm there and I'm present, again, I can't reach every single student in that classroom. My LAs do a great job of reaching those students.
And there's this idea we know called expert blind spot, where I have been fluent with these ideas and been working with these ideas for so long that it's hard for me to remember what it's like to hear it for the first time. And I think about the ideas in a certain way, but that relies on a lot of prior knowledge about related ideas that I have. So an explanation that makes sense to me might not make sense to students who are just learning the material for the first time, but that's hard for me to know. So it can be really valuable to have LAs who have learned the material more recently and can approach the ideas from a different perspective and can put together different explanations or analogies or something that might make sense to students who aren't understanding something the way I'm explaining it.
Something that I do as an LA is walking around and checking on students as they're navigating these problems. So walking up to them, checking in on where they are. That might be not knowing the equation to start with. That might be they have the numbers and they know the equation they're supposed to use, but they don't know how to apply the actual algebra skills. Or maybe they solved all the way through and they don't know what their units are. So anticipating and figuring out where the student is in terms of content competency and where they are in the problem, and encouraging them to reevaluate what they're doing, to revisit what they're doing, and consider this as they practice and repeat these problems becomes really important, and that's something that we do a lot in classes as an LA.
What I see is the change in attitude. The students, again, because they're working the problem and they're working with the LAs, the attitude towards even just chemistry is changing. That they may still find it challenging, but they're enjoying the class. They're enjoying working the problem and working with an LA on that problem.
The pedagogy meetings, I love the pedagogy meetings because they help me. First, they teach me new things, like things I haven't learned, like Bloom's taxonomy. I've never heard that in my life before, but it's just really interesting because when I'm in those meetings, I'm thinking about like certain classes that I'm in, or even the class I'm like LAing in. I'm like, okay, what like level on this triangle am I at? Or even like the one about learning, like helps me reflect on my classes.
So what we see with learning assistants is that they improve the sense of belonging. We see that they reduce social isolation and just feelings of isolation overall. And in fact, students report seeing LAs as role models moving forward up toward their degree programs. In addition to that, we're seeing improved learning happening across the board with learning assistants in the room.
So other than just having them give me pointers on how to explain topics better, they're also my peers in other classes that I'm taking. Like I have like 4 friends that are other LAs that I have like microbiology with. So it'll be like a peer group that I can rely on for not just LA help, but like help with other classes and just emotional support, which helps a lot.
The LA community has been really important to me because I came to Tech not knowing a single person, and so not knowing anyone made college really intimidating for me. When I became an LA, I started LAing for classes that had 350 to 400 people. And so I'll just be walking down campus and I'll get a "Hey Tori," and it's just like so wholesome that people feel as like comfortable with me and that I've made an impact on them and I've helped them through these struggles in STEM and chemistry classes where they feel they're comfortable enough to reach out to me. And that's just super sweet because I never feel like I'm alone on campus anymore, and I feel like I've made an impact on Texas Tech. And then so just being a part of the LA program has just really solidified my experience here and made me feel so welcome. And hundreds of people and not even break a sweat, when before I could barely talk to 3 people. But just like the confidence I've built in myself, my ability to communicate with others has just increased so much. And this is just like the best experience I could have wished for.